and we will move to our 11:15 or 6.5 item, presentation by CSAC Executive Director Graham Naus. Did I pronounce it correctly?
It's, good morning, Mr. Chair. It's Naus like knife.
Oh, okay. Actually, you can come sit. You can come sit at, yes.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah. And would your associate like to come up as well, or? Yeah. Probably be best of this one, just because there's two, there's two chairs.
So we're missing a chair there, aren't we? So, people have moved the chairs around in here.
Yeah. There we go.
So Graham, you want to make sure the mic is within 6 inches or so, probably, 6 or 8 inches.
Okay, how's that?
That's perfect.
All right, awesome. We have a PowerPoint, which I believe your team
Yes, we're putting it up.
will put it up.
Thank you, Matthew.
Awesome. Before I dive in, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you today and to talk a little bit about CSAC and who we are and what we do. And Chastity Benson will be talking about
Can we get the light back on briefly? Just, sorry about that.
Okay, no, all good.
Yeah.
Chastity Benson with me will talk about our California Counties Foundation and the work that it's doing that ties to Lake County, and then I'll spend a few moments talking about our CSAC advocacy priorities, which I think will connect up with some of what is important to you as a board, and would love to have some dialogue and questions with you all after that. CSAC is one of the oldest county associations in the country. We go back to 1895. We are in the same building we were back then. And so there's clearly been a lot of change, and we started as a county supervisors only association. So there was no other part of us. And we've certainly evolved since then to represent the whole county family. But our bread and butter, of course, is folks like you and other 291 elected supervisors in the state. What you all have gone through as leaders over the course of the past 18 to 24 months or so related to the pandemic is like nothing that we've ever seen before. And so it's with immense appreciation for the work that you've done in leading your communities, the patience that your community has had in terms of working through the challenges of a pandemic, which I hope we begin to exit here in the not too distant future. Please advance the slide.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So our core function is about advocacy. It's about serving as the unified voice for all 58 California counties. And the reality is that counties individually are strong on their own and have significant opportunity to make an impact. But when we put all 58 California counties together, representing all approximately 40 million people in California, it is incredibly powerful at the state and the federal levels. To be able to say that every county from LA and 10 million down to Alpine with 1,200 people all believe X makes a huge impact on state public policy making and at the federal level as well. And so we like to focus on getting to that point and working it through. Ultimately, our charge is about developing and equipping county leaders to better serve their communities. That's what we attempt to do. Advocating, beginning with collaborative partnership at the state and federal levels, but always being willing to get strategically aggressive when needed to ensure that you have the tools, the resources, and the flexibility to do things in a way that makes sense in your community. Next slide, please. So one of the ways that we do that is through our communications. It's about telling the county story through blogs, through videos, through op-eds, through connecting with the media, through walking the halls virtually of the legislature and working with the administration. It's to get that message out of the great work that is occurring here and in every other county in California. Social media has most certainly become a very prominent advocacy tool. We've got 4 million plus Twitter views that are happening on our Twitter feed, and we use that very effectively to to amplify your voice and your priorities through our communications. And then one of the gems of what we get to do is about seeking out county innovation. We have a Challenge Award program that's been in place for a number of years, and it's about looking in all different policy areas of county government for innovation that should be shared among counties and shared with the public, shared with policymakers, and often that can help us in our overall advocacy. And so that's been one of our key jewels through all of this. Next slide, please. Thank you. We also operate a business arm. It's a separate legal entity, our CSAC Finance Corporation, and it's focused on direct to county and direct to taxpayer services. And I wanted to highlight two here this morning that I think may have some relevance here in Lake County. The first is Easy Smart Pay, which is a newer platform to pay property taxes. So for your property tax, for your taxpayers in your community that would have interest or that currently use credit cards to pay their property tax fees, there's a third-party fee that is attached to that that's upwards of 4% in a number of communities. And so through the Easy Smart Pay platform, we've been able to effectively cut that in half. The other part of this that is relevant is that there are a number of property owners, particularly business, but not limited to business, that do not have an escrow account. In fact, 2/3 of California property owners do not have an escrow account. And so get the bills, they have the 2 times a year to pay half of their property taxes. Easy Smart Pay offers an opportunity for them to do that on a monthly basis, and to do it on a monthly basis in a way that is consistent with the limitations in state law, because there are some significant limitations on the collection of property taxes in state law. And that is the platform that's now available to all 58 counties in California. The next one I wanted to mention is a whole lot of words. The California Statewide Communities Development Authority, Community Improvement Authority. And that is new. It's just completed its first year, and it's entirely focused on workforce housing. In the marketplace, there are tax incentives at the extremely low income and low income housing level. Not enough. Not enough to meet the gap in probably in Lake County and in other communities in the state. There is nothing that is in place for moderate income housing, for the workforce that is delivering services in communities. And this program is specifically targeted at that population, trying to ensure that people who work in a community can live in that same community. And so it's focused on acquiring and converting existing either market rate or substandard housing, mostly higher residential, into workforce housing. That would have an annual cap on the amount that the rent could increase in any given year. And that, in its first year, has led to successfully converting 7,000 units of housing in the state to workforce housing. It's a evolving opportunity, and it's in the guise of we need an all of the above strategy around housing in California. We need to tackle extremely low income, we need workforce housing, every level. There's a housing challenge. And so this is meant to fit in the middle of that in terms of the gap in what is available. Next slide, please. In addition to our business arm, we have a 501c3. It's our California Counties Foundation. It is one of our crown jewels. And has a direct connection to Lake County, and it is a crown jewel because there is excellence that is leading it, and that excellence is through Chastity Benson, who is the Director of Operations and Educational Programs for the Foundation, and I'm going to ask her to share a few words about what the Foundation is doing and how it connects back up to the work that you're all doing here in Lake County.
Thank you, Graham. So The California Counties Foundation basically serves as the education arm of your association, California State Association of Counties. We offer professional development opportunities for county leaders throughout the state. We also offer special programs like New Supervisors Institute, and we also offer programs that help to build the bench in county leadership by offering programs like So You Want to Be a CAO or Department Head Seminar. Our education programs that we have throughout the state includes a partnership with Lake Mendocino County that we started 2 years ago that CAO Hutchinson was very instrumental in helping us pull together. It's been a great partnership. We started the January before the pandemic started. So we were able to have 2 classes in person in Mendocino County. And a couple of months later, pandemic happened, and we had to quickly shift and figure out how we were going to continue to offer this vital program. And we talked to CAO Hutchinson and CEO Angelo in Mendocino County, and we came up with a plan to develop an online program so that your future county leaders can continue their professional development. It has been wildly successful. Last year, you had about nearly 20 people graduate from your program, and you have about 20 more who are in the program now who hope will continue and receive their credential in June. I have to say that the Mendocino Lake cohort has been such a positive group of people to participate in our programming. They have attended almost all of the classes, which almost never happens, where we start a cohort and almost everyone finishes at the end. They're active, they're engaged. Your very own Chair Crandall has taken some courses as well. We started to do some courses after speaking to many of the supervisors and CAOs with some of the social unrest that happened last year in diversity, equity, and inclusion. That was wildly popular. We had many, many leaders from Lake County participate in not only the cohort classes, but also in the symposium that we did last year. And so I think Matthew Rothstein is out there. I just want to say a shout out to him. We worked very closely on some of the DEI efforts that y'all are doing here in Lake County, which is super exciting that you are embarking on that brave journey. Also wanted to talk a little bit about the foundation and our strategic planning over the next year. We are looking at finding ways to engage county supervisors more in the foundation and providing you with programs that you can utilize to build your network of other county supervisors, but also provide you an opportunity to talk about emerging issues that are currently you're facing and maybe come up with some best practices and maybe strategies on how we can work together. One that comes to mind that's seems to be a hot topic right now is workforce planning. We are seeing a wave in the Great Resignation. A wave of people are either retiring or they're deciding that they want to do something else and they're not returning back to the workforce, which is leaving a big gap across all industries related to employees in an effort to get more employees to come and work for a county public service. And so we want to bring supervisors together and CAOs together to kind of talk through some of the strategies that we can use to maybe attract people to come to public service. So please be on the lookout for that. We'll be doing workshops and, again, this sort of roundtable idea that we've been tossing around to bring you all together to talk about what the future workforce looks like for public service. I just sort of want to end by saying thank you for continuing to partner with the Institute. Also, thank you for investing in your workforce. As we talk about workforce planning, we know that one of the things that younger employees are looking for is they want to feel valued. And by investing in your workforce and their education, it makes them know that you care about them, you care about their future and their development. So thanks again for supporting us, and if I can answer any questions at the end.
Great. Thank you, Chastity. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. Perfect. our core, as I mentioned at the beginning, is about advocacy. It's about ensuring that you do have the tools and the resources and the flexibility to do things in a way that makes sense in your community. And that's different in Lake than it is in the Central Valley, than it is in Southern California. And it's different because your community is different. And so it should be structured that way, and you should have that flexibility. Our board last month adopted a 2-page document of our overall priorities, but I wanted to highlight the key ones here with you today. The first is wildfire and drought, 2 issues that impact certainly Lake County. I think you've experienced more wildfire in your county than any other county in California, and it's been pretty wildly rampant up and down the state. The world seemed to change in 2017. I know you have history that goes much before that in terms of wildfire.
2015 it started.
2015 here in Lake.
It's got to be done every time.
Yeah, it is. It's at a whole nother level and certainly has an impact relative to the drought as well. We were successful last year collectively in having the largest ever state investment towards wildfire and drought, but it's not enough. More needs to be done. It's not just money, but money is certainly relevant as part of that. Policy is relevant too. So that's a very high priority of ours. Broadband is a unique issue in that it took a pandemic to really wake up policymakers. And it's particularly true in some of the more urban areas of California. And so I often would say over the past couple of years, the path to broadband goes through LA. And it goes through LA because 1/3 of the legislature represents some portion of Los Angeles County. And really the point is that you need urban communities to understand the impact of broadband in order for the votes to be there in the legislature, in order for us to make progress. And with a broad coalition that we led, along with our very close partners at RCRC and a host of others, and folks in the business community, there was a massive investment towards broadband, building a middle mile network, having the last mile funded. It's $6.5 billion from this past year. Now that too is probably not enough, but it is a massive infusion of dollars. The key now is to implement it and to do it right, and to ensure that there's a county voice that is part of that oversight body that's at the state level attached to this, that there are folks that are on the ground that can make it real. So the concept of this lopping off 7 to 10 years of the timeline to get broadband in communities is actually put in place, and that's able to be realized for members of your community. And so this is work that will certainly continue through this year. Homelessness is another, also largest ever state investment towards homelessness this past year. I expect there'll be similar attention to homelessness and behavioral health in 2022. And we'll be part of that conversation and wanting to ensure that there's clarity on who is responsible for what around homelessness. Because if it's not clear, the role of the state, the role of counties, the role of cities, the role of the faith-based community, the business community, the nonprofit community, if that's not all clear, then it's the funding alone is not going to make the progress that is needed in communities. And so working through that so that there is clarity and the right level of ongoing funding so that the service supports can be there for the population. I'm going to touch on cannabis, and then I'll circle back to Brown Act reform. Cannabis is unique. It's unique in my career. It's unique probably in our lifetimes relative to creating an entirely new public policy area from scratch. And Prop 64 certainly began that. And there have been dozens of layers of changes at the state level since then. There are different approaches locally from community to community. And it's a bit of a muddled mess in terms of who has what level of control, authority, and how to ensure that what's in place in your community actually reflects the priorities, the values, the intent of the local policymakers. And so we will be working on this issue, and there's there's a legal side to this and there's an illegal side to this, and both are relevant in terms of policy and ensuring that we can navigate through this. It's an incredibly complex one with a lot of different stakeholders, and so we'll be navigating through that and certainly want to stay connected to you all in this county on this issue so that we have your on-the-ground cold truth about what's happening and how, where we should be moving. And then finally, I wanted to touch on Brown Act reform, which is something until about 18 months ago, we didn't really talk about at all. And it goes all the way back to 1953. That's when the Brown Act was adopted in California. And it does a number of things in terms of access. What's changed and what got this to be a high priority for our board and for local government, counties, cities, schools in California, but also across the country, is that public discourse has changed. The level of civility in a number of public meetings has changed. There's a different and unhealthy component to public discourse that was not present 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's not political, but it is a manner of engagement that is leading to a disincentive for folks to participate in public service. It's a disincentive for those in the community that want to engage, but don't feel comfortable doing so because of how the dynamic has changed. And there are examples all up and down this state and across the country of some of the unfortunate destruction that has occurred that has led to an erosion of democracy in communities where there instead needs to be a balance between open access and public safety and appropriate ability to weigh in on policy, and for all of you and the whole county enterprise that is behind you to have the confidence that it is done in a both deliberative and safe manner. And that you have the tools locally to reflect the world in 2022, not the world in 1953. Because they're two totally different things. And there are great advantages in some of this relative to what we're doing at this immediate moment where we're in the board chambers, but you're also on Zoom, you're also on Facebook. There are unique ways to engage that were never in place in most areas prior to the pandemic, and you can't unring that bell, but there needs to be the right tools so that you have, and the broad policymaking family is equipped to ensure that the public feels comfortable, public policy is served well, democracy is protected, and folks can move forward in a deliberative manner and have the whatever difficult policy conversations that need to happen as part of the democratic process. So we're going to be spending more time investing in this. Conversations have already begun with the legislature and with the administration around this issue. There isn't a solution necessarily, so I'm not bringing a solution, but rather opening. The intent is to open a dialogue and to learn what's working, what needs to be updated when we're 70 years, 69 years past when the Brown Act was originally adopted. So that'll be a key focus of ours. And then just finally, last slide, please. Just finally, thank you. Thank you for what you do every day. Thank you to your county administrator who is she's a helpful cold truth for us. And so whether it's something that's needed because you're immersed in a disaster, or it's an issue, a programmatic issue that is impacting the county, Carol does not hesitate to reach out on your behalf to ensure that we know what Lake County needs. It's very helpful for us to have that resource, and so that is awesome and certainly serves you well. I framed this year as a year of optimism, at least I'm trying to. And so I would just say that this is a year of giving grace to others after going through the pandemic, and also to find ways to make positive progress. And I think we're well equipped as a county family to be able to do that, and that's in large part to the leadership that you all bring to this role every single day. And so thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with you.
Thank you, Graham, and thank you, Chastity. Any questions for, or statements, or Supervisor Pyska?
So this is going to be a heavy side of the diet this year.
You want to balance it out?
You can go first.
Thank you for coming. I know we nodded at each other when you were going through the metal detector. I haven't seen the both of you in person for so long. I didn't even, you've been maskless on my screen every time I'm there, and I just did not recognize that. So sorry for not the right introduction when you came into the building. Happy that you're here. The two things that you brought, the Easy Pay that's in my back pocket right now, we have many things that are already in progress over at our tax collector's office. I don't want to add too many things on the plate, but definitely I think in an area where you have such high poverty, being able to spread it out over the course of many months rather than being hit with one big bill, I think that makes life a lot easier for people when it's hard to plan when you're dealing with the day-to-day. And so I really appreciate those types of programs that are happening. The housing, I know we're working on stuff right now, possibly bringing back a housing authority, whatever we're going to do to position ourselves to be ready for that. We'll be knocking on the door for those things. One of the things that I really appreciate about CSAC, it broadens my understanding of things so much, is the legislative updates. I actually now read the government's budget, the governor's budget. It's just, there is so much detail and so much better understanding of what's available to us. And I think that CSAC really has opened up the big picture rather than seeing, there's already so much to learn and know and find out about Lake County, but Lake County can only be Lake County if we access the things that are available to us outside of Lake County as well. We have to learn where to look. We have to learn what's going on. And CSAC does that. It was a really good introduction using the CSAC New Supervisor Institute. I know that I went there with Supervisor Crandall. Just really put me in a good position to get started in the work that I wanted to get done. And I've really appreciated the tasks, the information and the tasks that I've received from you guys and what to support, what legislation to look at. I know that our previous president, James Gore from Sonoma County, said that in crisis there's opportunity. That was part of his speech last year. I think there's opportunity whether we are in a crisis or whether good things are happening. I think it's a matter of us finding those opportunities. I am optimistic about 2022 because there's opportunities for 2022 for us to get into a better position so that our community members can have a better quality of life. I decided to step up this year, and I joined the Agriculture Committee as well as the Administration of Justice Committee. Already received a call from new President Ed Valenzuela, and looking forward to get involved. I don't want to ask CSAC to do things for us. I want to be a part of what I'm asking CSAC to do for us, because I think that's the most fair way to approach anything and get those things done and accomplished. In the tasks that was presented to the board, I did add in, it wasn't added, but I added in my voice asking for looking at justice reform. And I was glad that soon after, or maybe right before, London Breed was yelling that that is something that's needed. I have a feeling we're going to see some of those movements finally, and I recognize that it's been difficult in the last couple of years because of ballot measures and seeing which way the public is going, which way legislators are going, and for CSAC to spend that level of energy to go against the grain means that you're not putting your energy in things that you could actually accomplish. So I have a feeling that either this year or next year that some of those things can re-swing the pendulum back to where it's more centralized. We don't need to swing it back, but maybe there's going to be some change. So I'm looking forward to all those things and being much more involved, and really appreciate what you guys bring and the support that you offer. So thank you so much. Good seeing you.
So I just want to put something on your radar. I know you have one of your priorities is drought and wildfire. And what we're experiencing now is catastrophic tree mortality again, like we did before in the previous drought. And I don't know if other counties are sounding the alarm yet, but it's something that was not an issue in June. It happened rapidly over the summer. We didn't have much of a winter last year, and so that's the bark beetles. We had multiple swarms per year rather than one swarm. So trees that were damaged and stressed by previous droughts, starting to recover underlying disease, and then now multiple beetle swarms throughout December, really, when we had still 70-degree weather. So I reached out to CAL FIRE, and one of the Napa County supervisors also did a few weeks ago, and we did a flyover. We did an aerial survey and waiting on that report. But some of the stands that we examined were already 60% dead. So we have the cold weather now, we have the rain now, but we also have standing fuel now. So we have to figure out how to deal with this. Even if we get the rain that we need this year, this is still an issue. We had trees, they're still dying every day. So putting that on your radar, I'm happy to pass on the reports that I get. Supervisor Simon and I did speak with one of the CAL FIRE captains who dealt with this in the Southern Sierra 5 years ago. We're gonna need help fortifying our communities and our roadways from the tree death. There isn't anything that we can do to stop the tree death, but it is a reality that we're gonna have to deal with.
Thank you for raising that. I was not aware that tree mortality is back. That's almost a horrifying thing to hear after how devastating it was with,
Yep.
1 million, 2 million trees that had died a number of several years ago. I'll bring that back to my team. Catherine Freeman on our team is a specialist in this area. She knows it very well. And so I want to make sure that she's got that on her radar. She's immersed in wildfire and drought and other conversations as well. Thank you for raising that.
What's different this time is previously it was just the ponderosas, and now we're seeing it in the knob cones and gray pines, which we hadn't seen before, but they grow in very dense clusters. And I don't know which way you guys are heading through town, but you will see it in my district in Kelseyville. It's on the slopes of Mount Konocti. It's on either side of the highway. When you go, you'll just see giant swaths of brown. Those are highly combustible trees. They do not have a long lifespan, so it could be drought beetles and coming to the end of their life. But it's an insane amount of fuel to have along our highways.
All right, thank you for that. Supervisor Scott.
Just want to thank you for taking the time to come here today and educating us on what your priorities are. I know for me, working with those that are homeless is a priority of mine, and there's a lot of money coming down, and I applaud you for taking that as a priority, trying to figure out who's in charge of what. Because here in Lake County, it probably wasn't till like 5 years ago that we got organized with our continuum of care and are now starting to bring money in. But we are trying to figure out between the city and the county and the state, who's supposed to be doing what. So I really appreciate that that is a priority of yours. And I'm anxious to hear back more from that.
Go ahead, Supervisor Simon.
Thank you for your time today and your service. But like we spoke in the beginning, I thought, CSAC was just a viable opportunity for me to be trained as I stepped into this role as supervisor. I went to the, the rookie training, I will call it. I went to the training camp, and I really appreciated that opportunity to sit with the other supervisors that were elected of the other 58 counties and understand the process of, the local government and how we should be operating as supervisors. So I just want to say thank you very much. I know that the Institute here in Lake County that Carol has pushed hard to get us approved here at the board is working excellent. We offer that, as you said, to our employees for that educational support as they want to move forward, and directors here, and it's working great. I think we just had some recent discussions about directors, making sure that they know these opportunities are here for them to help them support our community and our constituents. So greatly appreciate it. I think the list of priorities is good. You can always add them, just as the tree death mortality situation we have going on here, but also mental health issues, and focusing on our elders and our children, as always. So, and the equity, and the inclusion of all folks. As you know, today you sat here with 2 tribal representatives. I think the only one in the state of California out of 58 that has 2 or ever has had 2 are representing the indigenous people that are from this land. There are 110 recognized tribes, there's 58 counties, and collaboration and communication, with inclusion of all races is the most important thing. When I sit here and make decisions, I always try and do that. The folks that get to come to these meetings are usually the more well-off folks, and when we make decisions, it's about the single mothers that are struggling to make payments throughout the month, and the folks that really need that representation. We're only as strong as our weakest link, and I really appreciate the communication and cooperation with CSAC, and we'll keep bringing it. In 2015, the Valley Fire happened. I know the North Bay Fire is what really got people into that mood to help, but here we experienced it, we went through it, we were, I hate to say it, but kind of the training ground of how you move forward with this. I know a lot of stuff is really improved, but we need to continue on that, and also remember that in 2015, Lake County, we're still recovering. Less than probably 25% on the rebuild in our areas for the Valley Fire, and we don't even go into the other 13 disasters that have happened here, and we just will continue to have that focus. I know our CAO, Carol, and all of our directors make sure that our needs are out there and understanding it. So we'll continue to do that and work for you guys. So greatly appreciated and everything. And 2022 is going to be a good year. We're gonna make this a positive one. So
We shall make it so together.
And I'd just like to highlight how important it is to have these trainings that our staff are going through. I really am glad we're doing that. I'm glad we're a part of sending our staff to not only just be trained in some of their expertises, but also to network with other counties where they can actually, give that insight and that advice that, yeah, we've done that before, but this is what'll happen. So work it this way or to your advantage. And a lot of the counties are doing very similar things, but just kind of twerking it to where it works for them. Also, a lot of things that I thought I had pinned, I'm glad I went because I wasn't, especially even with the heavily discussed diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's a lot of things I really wasn't aware of that I was just already thinking, not even thinking I was doing subconsciously. So a lot of these trainings are just so important. I'm glad that you provide it. I'm glad we are having our staff, as a board, we ensure that they go to that. And so, again, thank you for coming, giving us your time, and working with us so collaboratively. Yeah.
Thank you all very much. Happy New Year.
All right. With that, I'll open it to the public. I know that I haven't had a chance to do that yet, and so I don't see anybody on Zoom, anybody in the chambers, and nope, we'll bring it back to the board, and we'll go ahead, since it's an informational item, we'll close this item. Thank you very much, and travel safe, and we will move on to our next agenda item.